Deep sea disaster, Chris Lemon's nightmare ordeal. After a catastrophic computer failure caused his boat to drift away and his oxygen supply to be cut off, a North Sea diver narrowly avoided certain death. Nearly 100 meters, or about 300 feet below the surface, Chris Lemons lay helplessly accepting his fate. However, the miracle was the extraordinary efforts of his coworkers to save him. Perhaps today's episode is for you if you've fallen behind on some of that material. Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel, where in today's episode, we will focus on the deep sea disaster, Chris Lemon's nightmare ordeal. So, let's begin at the very beginning of this tale. Edinburgh-born Chris is an avid saturation diver and lives in the Highlands, not far from Mallaig. This is a subset of scuba diving where a mixture of oxygen and helium is used to lessen the likelihood of decompression sickness. Chris used the diving bell to access oil rig structures in the North Sea for maintenance and repair work. This day in September of 2012 began normally enough, but it quickly spiraled into a drama that few people thought Chris would survive. While working on the Huntington oil field east of Peterhead in Aberdeenshire, Chris and his coworkers Dave Uasa and Duncan Alcock descended 91 meters in a diving bell to repair a pipe on the seafloor. Although the ship was buffeted by winds of 35 knots, Chris claims that such conditions are typical for the time of year. Vacuum the building. Chris had just about finished the repair when he heard a noise. In an interview with BBC Scotland News, he said, "We had a constant line of communication with dive supervisor Craig up in the ship through an earpiece in our helmets. The only warning sign was an alarm going off in dive control, which is not abnormal because they test them. The urgency in Craig's voice made it clear that this wasn't a drill. He ordered us to evacuate the building, climb to the roof, and return to the diving bell as soon as possible." Chris and Duncan had no idea that the ship was already leaving without them. The ship's navigational computer had crashed. What followed was a complete and utter catastrophe. Chris got tangled up because of his umbilical cable, which connected him to the diving bell, and the ship, from which the divers received oxygen, hot water to keep their suits warm in the 3-degree C, and electricity and lights, and got caught on the metal support. It was immediately apparent to him that he was in deep trouble. The umbilical was pulled so tightly that a stainless steel rack on the wall of the diving bell was bending. His co-workers could not give him any slack. Chris reflected, "At first, the cable connecting our two devices to the outside world broke. Later, the gas hose became so long that I could no longer get a breath of air. My back was exposed as I accessed the supply. In a matter of 30 seconds, this all transpired. Not long after that, the umbilical cord snapped like a shotgun, the blast, and I crashed to the bottom of the ocean." Chris had already estimated that he had used up about 2 or 3 minutes of gas, and there was no sign of the diving bell. A final resting place? In that window, the likelihood of rescue was extremely low. Chris's acceptance of his fate brought him peace before he passed out. In their search for him, his co-workers expended extraordinary efforts because they thought they were going to the ground to retrieve a body. At this point, 35 minutes had passed since he had activated his supplemental oxygen system. Chris could have suffered irreversible brain damage from going without oxygen for so long. However, he seemed to be doing fine. 3 weeks later, Chris was back at sea with the rest of his crew, and a few months later, he wed his fiancée, Morag Martin. Morag's appreciation for Dave and Duncan has only grown in the intervening 6 years. Do you feel motivated after watching our video? Well, that's it for now, guys. Please feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. And also, please make sure you like and share our video with all your family and friends as well, and lift them up with this uplifting story. Thanks again for spending time with us today, and if we could request you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you turn the notifications on so you'll get even more amazing videos from us. Have a great rest of your day, and thanks for watching.